So in just a couple weeks, there is going to be an online conference of some of the greatest vampire scholars in the world. And it's called the Children of the Night International Dracula Conference. And this year, it's going to be online and anyone can attend for free. That's going to be November 18th through the 20th. And we are very lucky today to have several of those aforementioned scholars on the call with us to tell us all about this. So you guys, thank you very much for joining us. It's great to have you here. I'll just go through and just call you guys each out by name, and if you could tell us who you are, where you're coming in from. These guys are currently zooming in every single person from a different country and a different time zone right now. So this is like amazing that we got everybody together. But tell us where you're coming from, and then tell us a little bit about your credentials. And let's start with Magda.
All right. Hi, everyone. My name is Magdalena Grabias. I come from Poland, and I'm one of the initiators and organizers of the Dracula conference. But on the academic front, I'm connected to Maria Curie-Skłodowska University in Lublin, Poland, where I teach all sorts of stuff connecting with culture, with cultural diversity, with film, because first and foremost, I'm a film specialist and horror film specialist as well.
That's excellent. That's excellent. Enrique.
Wonderful. Thank you for having us. My name is Enrique Palafox. I'm calling from Mexico City, and I am a graphic designer. I'm also have a master's degree in communications and a PhD in literature. But basically, I've been studying the transmedia process of Dracula, how the book has been migrated into the popular media. And lately, in the last 7 years, I've been working in a creative investigation, trying to bring visuals to the original tale of Bram Stoker. I'm trying to be as faithful as I can, trying to represent the images that Bram has in his mind when he wrote. So I'm very grateful to have this interview with you guys.
Excellent. And for those of you watching, Enrique is currently in the middle of a high-speed chase. So it's very nice that he was able to join us for this. No, actually, the story is even better than that. He just dropped off a pair of dogs that were abandoned at his house. He found them a new home, and he just dropped them off. So this is a wonderful story that we just got to witness.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Enrique, Yuri, tell us about yourself.
Okay, it's terrible for me to talk after Enrique and his heroic saga. Now I have nothing so interesting to say. But my name is Yuri Garcia. I am from Brazil. I did my master's in social communication, where I researched Dracula. My PhD, I researched Lovecraft. And then I did a postdoctoral researching movies based in comic books. And my second postdoctoral research was about the contemporary vampire. So I've been researching Dracula and vampire for a long time. I'm also a teacher in the State University of Rio de Janeiro in the postgraduate program, masters and doctors. And that's it. Also, as Magda, I'm a teacher of film studies and horror studies for a long time. And I'm not one of the initiators of the conference, but me and Enrique, we came this year in the organization. The other years we were participants.
Excellent. And last but not least, Florin.
Hi, my name is Florin Nechita. I'm coming from Transylvania, but I'm the the most junior Dracula scholar from here because I'm coming from the area of marketing. I graduated marketing studies, my PhD is in marketing, and I teach marketing, branding, and other disciplines related with this at Transylvania University of Brașov. So Brașov, it's a city in the center of Romania, close to the so-called Dracula's castle, but I will make some, let's say, other colleagues will present that Dracula's castle from Brașov is not a real Dracula castle, so we'll have different perspective at this conference. So as I told you, I'm the most junior Dracula scholar, but one colleague of mine from Brunei called me Dracula academic, because traveling in different places and relating some of my works with Dracula.
That's excellent. All right.
And also, he's one of the initiators of the conference. He and Magda are the pioneers.
Oh, really? Okay. Well, talk about burying the lead. That's yeah, that's pretty important.
That's a complicated story, actually. If you want to hear a little bit of the complicated history of the Congress, we can say a few words, if you're interested.
Well, okay, yes, actually, I mean, that was one of the questions on my list. But before we get into the history, just real quick, Magda, can you tell the viewers what they are in store for with this conference?
Well, I think that we should really keep it a secret for a little bit longer, just to whet the appetite.
Excellent.
But talking seriously, yes, we're trying to finalize the schedule, and it's a very difficult job because we have speakers and participants from 5 continents, from really many time zones, and it was a mammoth work to try and make sure that nobody speaks in the middle of the morning. I'm not sure if we succeeded yet. We have to check it out for the last time, but we've been working hard on it. So we have wonderful keynote speakers, and this is not a secret. We can actually reveal it right away, and because these are quite big names in the world of Dracula and horror studies in general. So Dacre Stoker is going to be one of the speakers. And the name speaks for itself. Then we have Laura Canepa. I think that I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing the name correctly, but she's from Brazil. Then we have Leslie Klinger, another very famous scholar in the Dracula studies and vampire studies. Hans de Roos, who was together with me, was one of the initiators of the Dracula Congress, International Dracula Congress. Our Children of the Night Congress, the one that I'm talking about right now. And Simon Bacon is joining us as a keynote speaker. And of course, we have Marius Crișan, who is also a very important Romanian scholar and a person without whom probably we wouldn't be here today, because the winding roads led us to meet, me and Hans to meet through Marius at one of his conferences. Then, of course, we will have John Browning as well. And probably 2 people who are closest to my heart here, and this is Enrique and Yuri, and they are also going to be giving a keynote speech this year, and this is very exciting.
That is very exciting. That is a great list. Yeah, I don't even know where to begin there. That is fantastic. So this is just like, I mean, I never know like which scholars people are already familiar with, but for those of you, if any of those names you haven't heard before, these are like the top tier, the top shelf scholars of vampire and Dracula studies in the world. So that is fantastic. Okay, so we know kind of what is going to be happening. Tell us a little bit about the history of this conference.
Okay, so who's any takers, or shall I go on?
Go on.
I'll start. this, as I said, it's complicated. It's not a very long history, but it's quite, as I said, many roads and many meetings and changes as well, because it all, as I say, started from myself meeting Hans de Roos, who's the scholar currently residing in the Philippines, and he's a wonderful freelancer scholar and Dracula specialist. And we met completely by coincidence on one of the conferences in Romania, in Timișoara, in 2015, when Marius Crișan, whom I mentioned already as one of the keynote speakers, he was organizing this conference, and we just met. We were participants, and it so happened that Hans was closely connected, among others, to the Transylvanian Society of Dracula, which was a very active unit at that time, and international as well. And they were thinking about organizing fourth Dracula Congress in Dublin in 2016. And it's, without getting into details, it so happened that I joined the organization and the preparation and the organizational team as well. And we ended up organizing it, just the two of us. So it was Hans and me in the end who organized this fourth Dracula Congress under the wings of the Transylvanian Society of Dracula. And that happened in Dublin in 2016 in the Trinity College, and that was a wonderful event. And then the Transylvanian Society of Dracula dissolved into something completely different, so they just ceased to exist. But we thought that it was such great time and such good fun to be doing this together that we need to think about something that is completely of our own. So that's how we came to organize the Children of the Night. So that was our new name, Children of the Night International Dracula Conference. And that took place in Brasov because Hans already knew Florin, and that they were talking and they were meeting on some other occasions before, and Florin suggested, why don't we do it in Brasov, where we're very close to Dracula Castle, or not? And argue the point now.
Exactly.
So that was a wonderful addition. That was our conference, so Children of the Night conference, and that was the three of us, Florin, Hans, and I, who organized that. That was a face-to-face, a normal meeting in Brasov. Yuri came over from Brazil. That's where we met Yuri for the first time, and we were planning to do another one in 2 years' time, to 2020, and you can imagine that this didn't happen because of the pandemic. So we decided, okay, so let's try our luck online. And that's how 2021 edition happened last year. And that was a virtual conference, a huge event, 3 full days of wonderful presentations, lectures and events. We even managed to have the costume contest. So what not to like?
That's excellent.
And this year we decided maybe it's too early to organize it in person yet, because people are still a little bit worried about traveling and so on. So that's why 2022 is also a virtual one.
Gotcha. So is the intention...
Enrique, and sorry, one more thing, because
Sure.
I forgot to tell about what's happening right now and why we are gathering here in this company. So Hans decided, who's only recently became a father and is expecting another child right now in the Philippines, decided to retire from his organizational duties. So he's still going to come back actively as a keynote speaker, but he decided he no longer has time because he has to take care of his family, and that's how we ended up being me and Florin, and we recruited the best people in the world, so Yuri and Enrique.
That is fantastic. So really it sounds like this year is sort of special in the fact that it is online. Nobody has to travel anywhere in order to take part, and so but this may be the last time that that's the case, and it may be an in-person event moving forward.
What do you think, guys?
This was something that we discussed a lot when we were thinking about the conference. The first idea we had was to make a hybrid conference, half presential and half online. But the thing is, Florin and Magda, they are from Romania and Poland, so they have a geographic distance that it's not so absurd. But me and Ricky from Mexico and Brazil, it's a totally different scenario. And I was saying that when we had the online conference, we had the opportunity to meet Enrique. He was one of the great achievements of the online conference. And something that was interesting was that we had lots of people from Brazil in the conference and lots of people from South America participating. That was something that was not so common. I was like this exotic person in the 2018 conference in Brazil. I even had Brazilians that were living in Romania to see my presentation over there because it was something unexpected. So due to this scenario that it's easier for us to have more global participation, and the pandemic is still uncertain. We didn't know how airports and things would be. We, after lots of talking, we decided to do an online edition here, but probably we're gonna make in the future something hybrid or presential, or maybe 1 year each type, because there's something very special about being in Romania for a Dracula conference. It's something that I passed in my life that was a unique event in my life. And not only because I met Magda and Florin, but the atmosphere over there is totally different. It's kind of magic.
Yeah.
It sounds very cool.
Yeah. And I believe, sorry to interrupt, but I believe to have this conversation online, it's an opportunity to gather the greatest experts in Dracula, because as Magda told you, we have a full schedule of very interesting people and who can be there in the conference because of the ability of having an online conference. So I'm very excited to joining this great team and trying to bring something of the happiness that we bring into the Castle Dracula, but from all over the world, because that is why this is very important. This Congress, this is a very international Congress of people who love Dracula.
There is one disadvantage of this situation, and then this is really big disadvantage, and this is that we cannot taste Florin's palinka. And that was a very important part of the conference in 2018.
Yeah.
What? I have no idea what that is. Is that a drink, or is that a pastry, or what is that?
It's a drink that
Dracula
kills
spirit.
Brazilian people.
This is the Dracula spirit, because palinka, it's a spirit. It's distilled plum brandy or apple brandy, having about 52 degrees, and very nice taste and flavor. So that was part of the spirit of the Congress. So
Gotcha. That does sound like a benefit to having it in person. Absolutely.
yeah, exactly.
Absolutely. Well, okay, so so you guys are putting together this amazing event, but I would like to just sort of go through real quick and have each of you guys sort of tell us a little bit about what your path was to, like, how you found yourselves in the very niche world of Dracula studies and vampirology. And if I'm so sorry, quick aside. If it seems like I'm nerding out a little bit right now, it's because I am. And so Magda and I actually got to have known each other for a little bit now and got to spend some time in person in Wales this last summer at the International Vampire Film and Arts Festival, which was a lot of fun. So I highly recommend partying with Magda anytime you get the chance to do that. But this is the first time that I have ever met these three gentlemen, and Magda and Yuri and Enrique did a YouTube series about a year or two ago that was just like a weekly sort of discussion between the three of them about a certain aspect of Dracula, the book, each time. And I just like devoured this YouTube show. And so I've seen a lot of Yuri and Enrique and never actually talked to them before. So this is very exciting for me. It's also very exciting to meet Florin as well, whom this is the first time I have ever seen his face and gotten a chance to talk to him and learn about Plum Brandy. So this is very exciting. So let's just go through it. If we could, Florin, you're the biggest mystery to me. So let's start with you and tell us sort of where how you came about the vampire genre.
Actually, my first, let's say, interaction with this area of study started at the end of 2015, when I, together with some colleagues from the tourism marketing and tourism department, we decided to write an article about Dracula tourism. And when I started to document on this topic, I found different Facebook groups, I found different articles, and in this way I managed to know virtually Hans de Ros. So it was my first time, or if I can relate with the Vlad the Impaler was my hero of my childhood. But then I enter in the denial phase. So when foreign tourists came in Romania or foreign friends telling me, you're the Vlad the Impaler is the vampire. What? You cannot make our national hero to be a vampire. Then after knowing the Dracula scholars, I even found that on the Bram Stoker's notes was no relation with Vlad the Impaler. So as most of the people around the world knows. So it's a very fascinating world, this world of Dracula scholar. And when I said that I'm a junior Dracula scholar, I'm not kidding, because I'm coming only from this small area of Dracula tourism, or using Dracula as a, let's say, ingredient for branding Romania or branding Transylvania.
That's excellent. That is fantastic. And I was curious how your background in marketing led you to a love of Dracula, but that makes perfect sense.
Yes, just wanted to write a paper about Dracula as an ingredient for Transylvania and Romania as a destination branding. So that was my first encounter with the Dracula topic. So I have to admit that I read for the first time Bram Stoker novel when I was having, let's say, 45 years old. So
excellent.
That was happened in the 2015. So you know, for that I'm a very junior Dracula scholar.
But now he's turned to the dark side.
Indeed.
Now, and the great question that I would like to ask Florin is, how is it to read Dracula drinking palinka? Is it a different experience over there?
Yeah, because gives you some inspiration. And also I have to admit that because when I started my academic career only 10 years ago, 1 decade ago, for every lecture that I gave in Europe, or even one time I was in Japan for teaching or going for the different conference, when I ask, let's say, warming question, what is your first word that came in your mind when I think that I'm coming from Romania? Only Dracula, or maybe I think one or two times they give another names like Haji, our very well-known football player, but Dracula, 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 Dracula. And in this case, it's normally to to take this subject, to this take this topic and go deeper.
That's amazing. Excellent. Okay, well, thank you for that. Yuri, do you want to go next and tell us how you came across the vampire?
Okay, I think that Dracula and vampires, they have a very haunted aspect in my life, something strange. I've always been a film enthusiast, so I've watched millions of films since I was a child. And I don't know if it's a coincidence. The first more complex movie I've watched was Nosferatu from Murnau. I was 10 years old. It was the first time I've seen a more complex movie. And maybe it's a coincidence. I wasn't a kid that was so into the vampire world. I just like to watch movies. And when I started doing my master's, I was very interested in researching the relation between literature and cinema. And I decided to use Dracula as a case study. And it brought lots of things back. And I started researching the vampire world. And I started to becoming very interested in horror studies. And this changed a lot of my life. And even afterwards, I finished my master's. I was going to study Lovecraft, and my idea was to continue in horror studies, but give some time to the vampiric studies. But it kept chasing me. The conference was in 2018. I was already studying Lovecraft, but I saw that we had a Dracula conference in Romania. So I got new things and sent a presentation. And it was very interesting being over there. And I always come back researching Dracula or other vampiric stuff. And in this moment, during those talks that you said that you've seen, Magda, me, and Enrique, we started talking about this new image of the vampire, and this gave me an idea to do my second postdoctoral research. So I started developing this idea, talking to them. I wrote the project, I submitted, and I started this project, and it ended recently, actually, and it was great. So I came back. I'm always coming back to this vampiric world now. That for me, it's fascinating.
That's excellent. I guess you could say it got its teeth into you.
Yes, yes. And one interesting part, I started researching as well comic books to cinema. This is a trend nowadays, and it's very interesting for me. And in my last research of this contemporary vampire, Blade was a very special figure for me. So this was very interesting because it put together two of my researches now, and now I'm with these ideas in my mind all the time.
That's excellent. Topics that are very close to my heart, Yuri. That's fabulous. Enrique, tell us about yourself.
I was introduced to Count Dracula by a comic book in the 80s. And I have to recognize that I was very afraid of the comic because I was very young. I had I don't know, like 8 or 10 years. And I was introduced by a great adaptation which was published by Marvel Comics and drawn by Nestor Redondo, which is a film. The art was dark and very I mean, it was very different among the other Draculas that were in my cosmovision, in my culture. So I was very drawn into Dracula since childhood, and I developed this fascination for the Count, and I became like a fan of the Count when Francis Ford Coppola released his movie. I was very happy to finally acquire merchandising and that kind of stuff of Dracula, because it was my passion. And it came later that I began to teach in my school, and I was granted a scholarship to start studying a master's degree in communication. So it was very easy for me to gather all my passion of Dracula and on all my knowledge of the movies about Dracula in a thesis. And one thing leads to another, and the next step was the doctorate studies, the PhD studies. So I decided to go for the literature part of it, so I can be like a proto-transmedia specialist in Dracula, to have the insights of the visuals as a graphic designer, having the communication process of the movies and all the expansion of the narrative. So in this moment of my life, it's very comfortable for me to talk about narratives, to talk about adaptations in movies, to talk about visuals. So that's why I'm working with Dracula in the image part of the process of the narrative.
Gotcha. And for those of you who maybe are not already following Enrique on Facebook, he is, and if I get this wrong, please correct me, but you have developed and designed a Dracula action figure. Is that correct to say that? Yeah, I've been working in my professional time, and I used to work with toys. 20 years ago, I worked with Star Wars, developing some very popular toys in Mexico who were free. It's a very popular promotion in Mexico. So I was very early introduced to licensing and branding of entertainment. And when I was in my studies, I realized that there is a lack of merchandising about Dracula, the novel, the work of Bram Stoker. So I started to develop a kind of a brand of Dracula, trying to bring visuals like if it was a movie. You know, so many movies nowadays has the opportunity to have toys, to have posters, to have comic books. So what I've been trying to do is to bring Dracula, the novel, the work of Bram Stoker, into that world, into the world of merchandising, into the world of toy development, and that is why we developed the first action figure, actually, with the description of the Count in the book. That's very exciting, and it's a very cool looking figure. It looks really great. Yeah, you like it. Thank you. Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Okay, so Magda, we come to you. How did you first find the vampire?
Oh, well, I've been trying to figure it out, actually, when all of you were speaking, because it looks like vampires were around me since like forever. I don't remember the times when vampires weren't present in my life, but it must have started somewhere, of course, and probably knowing me, although I don't have like the recollection of one particular moment, but I was introduced to vampires and who they are and what's it all about through vampire films, and I started watching. I've been always drawn to very weird stuff in cinema as well. And very early in my life, I come across Nosferatu as well as Yuri. We keep talking about it all, that we start in the same way. But I absolutely fell in love with Nosferatu, and that wasn't the kind of film that my friends would watch at that time. And I was drawn to the silent movies, to black and white. German expressionist is very eerie, of course, and just gives me a creeps every time I watch it. Even now, probably I've seen it for thousands of times. Well, a bit of exaggerating a bit, but I've seen it many times, and I still think it's the best film ever made. And then when I got a little bit more interested, more consciously, let's say, in vampires, and that was through literature. And again, I have a confession to make, not as bad as Florin did, but I read Dracula quite late in my life as well. But I'm going to explain myself, because I had to wait for my linguistic skills to be good enough, because Dracula wasn't translated into Polish until 1991. After the communism stopped, that was the political
sure.
So it wasn't allowed earlier. It wasn't allowed to be translated earlier. So the first version we have, and it's a very short version. They cut. I don't know how they came about it, but they just randomly threw some pieces out from this translation. So it's a very short story, and but I did read it before. This Polish translation came, and I read it in English. But I had to work really hard with my language skills to do this. And I remember reading it, and that was like, the whole world was developing and revealing in front of my eyes. That was wonderful. So
that's fabulous.
That's an experience that changed my life for sure. Because I've seen so many movies, and Bela Lugosi, one of my favorites as well, who's standing behind me, by the way. Many adaptations. And it's still a kind of a game for me, that I'm trying to track down as many Dracula adaptations as possible. And there are over 300 right now. Maybe more right now, but there are really a lot. You wouldn't believe how many bad Dracula films I've seen. It's amazing what people can do with Dracula. And it's a kind of a hunt. I'm always on the hunt for new versions.
That is outstanding, and I 100% understand. There is, yes, I find myself, this has nothing to do with the Congress, but so I on occasion will just like get in that mood to just like go on a streaming service and just type in the name Dracula and see what do they have. And there's always some movie that someone has shot in their backyard that, within the last year or two that comes up. And I'm just like, oh, okay, let's see what this person, and like 10 minutes in, I'm like, I'm out. This is terrible.
Because very often they are horrifying for all the wrong reasons, aren't they? Just horror from the start.
Yeah.
But then continue. Go on, sorry.
My master thesis was about the adaptations of Dracula in cinema. And it was exhausting because I had to watch all these movies. And of course, I love the good Dracula movies. Just like Magda, I've seen Dracula in cinema before reading it. I read it in my 20s. So I was already a big fan of the movies of Dracula. But there are some terrible movies. And for research, you need to watch it. You can't just give up. You need to watch it till the end. And it was a sacrifice, one worse than the other.
Well, let's face it, it's fun. It's fun. Even if the worse it is, the more fun it is to talk about it later.
It is terrible to pass through the experience of watching 2 hours of a terrible movie, but it's fun afterwards. So when we can talk about this movie and how terrible it was, it is very paradoxical.
So whenever I want to take revenge on one of my students, that's what I do. You go, and as a homework, go and watch this movie, and then we'll talk about it. And then the poor soul has to go through all the torture of watching it. Yes, but on the serious side, I'm lucky enough to be able to teach horror and Dracula to my students as well as one of the university subjects. So that's what I'm grateful for. In my life gave me that opportunity to do something I'm really passionate about as my profession as well. And of
That
course,
is fantastic.
you can go to all these wonderful conferences and meet people and just feel free and feel yourself and pretend you're a vampire yourself. It's wonderful.
That's awesome. That is fantastic. You guys have such excellent stories. So let's just sort of backtrack back to the actual conference itself. And so it is called the Children of the Night, International Dracula Conference, but Dracula will not be the only subject that is being talked about, correct? Like it's a bit of a leading question. I went to this 2 years ago, and so I kind of know. But just there will be some lots of other, I'm assuming, presentations about various vampire subjects as well that are not Dracula.
Absolutely.
Correct?
Yes. Yes, we've opened the doors and left them open very wide. Even if you look at our website, you have all possible workshops and titles and subjects that you want to dive in. You're free to go, as long as it's connected to Gothicism, vampires, or anything vampire related. Simply, you can join. And believe me, people are dealing with so many different subjects and so many different approaches to ideas that we all of us are into this Dracula studies quite deep, and I'm amazed every single time we get an abstract and something arrives and this is so obvious. Why haven't I thought about it? And there comes approaches from all over the world. And this year it's going to be amazing again, because we were promising ourselves last year, Florin and me, that we're going to make it shorter next year, because that was really a long conference. But no, surprise, we're having 3 full days, morning till evening, so you can choose. Surely you can choose something for yourselves, because the proposals were excellent, and we have so many wonderful people who are well-known stars in their own rights as well, and they just join as participants. Not to mention that we will have 2 authors who write vampire literature just for fun, joining us and presenting their works, and of course we will show several films, among others. Your film, which is excellent, and I can't wait to see it again.
And this is wonderful that Magda just made the announcement, but yes. So Lucy X Mina. No, this is perfect. I was hoping you were going to say something. So Lucy X Mina, which I have been talking about on this channel, is showing only at film festivals right now, is going to be showing at the Children of the Night Dracula Congress. Magda was nice enough to invite me to show it there. So that means that if you would like to see Lucy X Mina, it will be screening in this online conference. So, and that will be the only time, I think, that it will screen online until the festival circuit is over next year. So if you want to take a look at it before it's fully available to everybody, this is the way to do it. And that actually leads us into an excellent question, which is, how do people join the conference?
Oh, it's very, very simple. We're going to provide a link, so anyone who's interested in attending, just drop us an email through our website, and the website address I've just forgot, so you have to find it for yourself.
That's okay. I'll go ahead and post it here. But also, if I follow everything that these guys are doing through their Facebook page, which you guys are good to regularly be posting in. So that's another place to also find out.
Yes, you can message us through the Facebook, through the website. Please do, and I'll just send you a link once we have it closer to the event.
Before we wrap up here, I think it bears being said for the casual viewer who has stumbled across this video, or who is a regular watcher of the channel, it may seem like, well, how much possible scholarship can be done on a book that is 125 years old, but we're in a renaissance right now of discoveries about Dracula and Bram Stoker. And I'm just assuming that there will be some people talking about this at the conference.
Absolutely. Especially because it's the anniversary. We have a year of anniversaries. It's the anniversary of the book itself. It's the anniversary of Nosferatu. It's the anniversary of Blackula. And again, we are going to have an excellent presentation on Blackula as well, which is, for me personally, is very exciting because it's very often omitted. But of course, we have a lot of people who are specialists in literature, and they are going to talk about book, various interpretations. As I said, a lot of ideas that don't even come to anyone's mind. It's just wonderful what's happening here in people's minds.
Gotcha. Now, okay, so final question, and I know that on that topic, this is a bit of an unfair question to ask. I'm going to ask it anyway. So feel free to not answer if you don't want to. But for each of you guys, and I'm sorry, it looks like we lost Enrique. The spy thriller that he's in obviously caught up with him. So thank you for being with us when you could be, Enrique, and we'll catch up to you at the conference. But for those of you guys who are not currently being pursued, what is there a particular talk that each of you is really looking forward to hearing?
Well, I am really looking forward to seeing the talk of three scholars, not especially about the subject, because since we are in an interdisciplinary conference, the variety is always fascinating, and normally, in my experience, the more interesting speeches are normally surprising. But so I'm really into watching three people, especially because I've seen them talk before, and I think they always bring fascinating researches. One is Laura Canepa, that is from Brazil as well, and I did my postdoctoral research with her. She's going to talk about Brazilian vampire movie, so really into watching this conference. There's a researcher from England called Penny Goodman that I've met her in 2018, and she is terrific. She since I saw her first presentation, I am a big fan of her researches. And there's Nina as well. That I think Nina is from Poland as well.
She is
and
Polish.
I met her. Yeah, I met her in 2018, and it's fascinating because she's really young. Actually, she's very young, and I don't know. She's probably a great researcher since she was 12 years old, because it's something fascinating to see her researches.
Yeah, she's wonderful.
And every year she's over there, and I'm always looking forward to see her researches as well, and obviously of the Magda and the people who are organizing the conference. But I talk to Magda a lot, and
he has enough of talking to me already.
That's
but
excellent.
Magda, but they are people that I see all the time, and these other people are people that I only see in this conference. So I'm really looking into watching their presentation.
Florin, how about yourself?
I'm looking for Elon Musk presentation at this conference.
Wow, you guys are drawing some big talent for this thing.
Actually, it's a joke and not a joke, because exactly one week ago here in Romania was a huge media storm, because a small a small website announced that for the Halloween party in the at the Bran Castle, at the Dracula Castle near Brasov, there will come a lot of billionaires from the world, and one of them being Elon Musk and Angelina Jolie. Actually, was a lot of, for example, one of the guests at the Bran Castle was Peter Thiel, the founder of the PayPal, and other very well-known billionaires, but not Elon Musk. But for 24 hours, or even more. I think almost 40 hours. All the Romanian, all national TV was that Elon Musk is in Romania. So, for example, we can say that at our conference, Elon Musk will talk about tweeting Dracula, for example, or something like that. So, this way, the Zoom will our Zoom account will break. break up.
Sounds like you guys should do this over Twitter live stream now. If Elon's going to be talking, that's great.
Good plan.
Excellent. Magda, who are you looking forward to hearing from?
I've already mentioned the presentation about Blacula. This is really something I'm looking for, because I say I've never heard anyone talking about Blacula from academic point of at all. Only introductions to film by some well-known people. So this is going to be fantastic, I think. And there is also one person who's going to talk about the film I was discussing last year. Well, the series actually, namely 2020 BBC version of Dracula. So I'm very interested to see what he's got to say about it, because I remember that was quite controversial last time.
Excellent.
And of course, I'm looking forward to see what Florin is going to do, because he's been very mysterious.
Okay. Okay.
So this is the world most kept secret. What's going to happen in presentation?
All right, just gonna kind of dangle that out there. That's fabulous. Okay, so that is fantastic, guys. Thank you for coming and sharing all this. For those of you, if you couldn't tell already, this is going to be an absolutely amazing event. I'm definitely going to go for as much as I can possibly stay awake for with the time zone difference. And I can't wait to find out what Florin is going to talk about as well. So just real quick, I'll put a link to how to attend, the link on how to attend the conference. But if anyone wants to reach out to one of you guys directly, just because they're interested by something you've said, how can people get in touch with you? And let's start with Yuri.
Well, I'm not very into social media, but I have Facebook. So there's my Facebook and my email. I think it's in the website probably. That's the two ways that people can contact me, through Facebook or email.
Okay, excellent. And Florin?
So I just write. I'm writing now my email account from my university and also my Facebook account.
Excellent. That's excellent. All right, and Magda?
I'm on Facebook, and I'm very active because I have to be, because nobody else wants to. So just find my name, drop me a message. You have all the information, including my email there. Just anyone, just join in. Come on, guys. I'm open to any new contacts. Also, if you want to reach any of us, you can just drop us an email through the website, and we'll make sure that people get it. So
that is fantastic.
We're easy to find. And of course, excellent. Enrique, if I can speak for Enrique, who's disappeared in his car chase, he's has his website and is on Facebook as well. So we're all of us are easy to find.
Yeah, I think that despite Enrique's disappearance, he's the easiest one to find, because he's very active in social media.
True.
So I think he's the easiest one to find.
Excellent. All right, guys, I can't wait for the conference. And so best of luck with it, and we will see you there. And hopefully we will see you there as well. Thank you for coming and talking to us today.
Thank you. See you.
I am very much looking forward to this event. Just a quick note here at the end, I have gotten a preliminary schedule for when Lucy X Mina is going to be shown, and it is in fact going to be on Saturday morning at 11:15 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. So that's when, if you would like to see Lucy X Mina, just join this convention and be watching during that time, and that's when it's going to screen. A couple of other just real quick mentions of things that that will be happening. So, friend of this channel, Brian Forrest, who does toothpickings, is going to be doing his Blackula panel. This is not Comic-Con. He's going to be giving his Blackula talk, and that is actually going to be on Friday morning at 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. So that is going to be very cool. I always love listening to Brian talk about stuff, and he has been doing some groundbreaking work on Blackula as of late, so this promises to be good. And then immediately following Brian is going to be Dax Stokes, the vampire historian, whom I just interviewed in the last episode. And he's going to be giving a talk called It's Just a Demon, Vampire Activity as Documented by the Church in the Historical Record. Ooh, that sounds great! And then following up immediately after Dax is going to be David McDowell Blue, who you may remember from the episode that we did here. He did the Carmilla radio play, and he's going to be doing a talk called Reinventing Dracula. And that's going to be at 10:30 a.m. on Friday. And then Dacre Stoker, who was the very first interview that I did on this show, he's also going to be on Saturday morning, a couple hours before Lucy X Mina screens. He's going to be at 9:15 a.m. giving a talk called Recent Discovery in the London Library Sheds Light on Bram Stoker's Research for Dracula. Also sounds very cool. So, and this is just a little sliver of the stuff that is going to be happening at this online conference. And this is a preliminary schedule, so some things might change, but I would say definitely register for this and come and see all of these great speakers talk, and come and watch Lucy X Mina. So that's it. We'll see you guys at the Dracula Congress.